My name's James Swanston. I set up a business called Carbon Voyage. The idea of Carbon Voyage is to save people money and carbon when they travel. The reason we've set it up is because we're very concerned about the environment, but also we see that transport is unbelievably inefficient, and just say by sharing taxis or filling empty return journeys, you can save money and pass that straight back to the customer. This is my fourth business actually. I started my first when I was 19, which is still a very successful fine wine distributorship in Australia, looking after really good little boutique vineyards and putting all their products into 5-star hotels and restaurants all on the east coast of Australia. Very fun business to be in. It's a single point at which you can get access to a whole range of transport providers. So just say you need a taxi, and we've started with taxis, and you need to go from here to an airport or whatever. You basically jump in the system and you say, I want to go from here to Heathrow, and the system will find the lowest carbon journey for you. Hopefully we can find an opportunity for sharing so that you can essentially save a whole lot of money, and then there's only one vehicle on the road. At the end of the journey, or indeed at the end of the month, you have a consolidated list of every single taxi journey you've taken through the system, so you don't need to add up all your receipts at the end of the month. It's all in one handy place, and we tell you how much money you've saved and how much carbon you've saved. We've been very fortunate in terms of people putting a lot of time and effort and money into this, and we've had some seed funding in the business, which has sort of got us to a good stage of having the working model up and running. But really, to take the business to its fullest potential, we just need additional money to match that gap between the revenue that's coming in now and the money that we need to pay for development and operating costs and marketing and so on. I found out about G2I through a friend, a fellow entrepreneur, who set up an online creative marketplace actually. And so I went through the first couple of meetings with G2I and then spent 4 days doing the seminar. So the program of G2I went through a whole range of issues that confronts startup businesses, from how do you set yourselves up legally, what are the accounting issues, importantly what do you do with intellectual property, some cunning plans from other entrepreneurs about how they gave away very small amounts of equity for a lot of money or a lot of work, which I think is everyone's dream, and then brought you into a network of investors and service professionals that can assist. Even though I've got a bit of experience in business, and I've actually got a law degree, so I think that tremendously helps. I think the G2I program is very useful on a number of fronts. Firstly, it allows you to sort of sit back and reflect about what you're doing in business. Sometimes you get so caught up in business that you don't realise that you've made a few errors or mistakes. And it's good to just think about that. Secondly, it's been spectacular for me in terms of finding the technology partner that we now have. We found a great company called Harmony Park that is now a shareholder in the business, and they're doing all the technology work. And I think the technology is so fundamental to the business, so G2I has certainly helped. It was very important in terms of the timing for seeking external fundraising, that the business was in the right place and it was a strong proposition for investors. So we actually have held off for quite a long time, but we started our beta launch a couple of weeks ago, and we've already got early revenues coming in. We're talking to a number of FTSE 100 companies about putting a big service into them, and I think investors are after propositions that are real and tangible and bring in money, so that's why we've sort of held off to this point, so that when we go to an investor we can say, yes, it is a real tangible thing, it's not a pipe dream, and here are our accounts receivable. I think right at the moment, because of the hard financial climate, you really have to bootstrap your business and do what it takes to get something off the ground. You can't turn around to an investor and say, oh, I have a cunning plan, and leave it at that. You need to have a working model. You need to be very mindful of your cash flow and keep your burn rate down as low as possible, and demonstrate to investors that you're really hurting to get this business off the ground. That's probably the first big point. Secondly, you can't accept obstacles. You have to get around them. You know, there's always going to be obstacles in a startup business, and you know, immense challenges for you from a business perspective and a personal perspective. And you know, you just need to front up to them and push through them and keep on going, because that's what happens for successful businesses. And then thirdly, I think you need to build your network. You can't expect people to come and find you. The only way you're going to get into a good relationship with investors or partners is go out and network and meet the people you need to influence for your business. After the program, I think there was a lot of time for reflection, and we actually made a couple of big changes in the business direction. One was around what technology we did in-house and what technology we were reliant on partners for. And very much we brought a lot of the technology in-house now, which I think was very important from an investor perspective, so they knew that the intellectual property is owned in the business. And secondly, we re-looked at all the branding and the marketing for the business and how we would look to acquire customers. So they were probably the two big changes. And right at the moment, we've got an investor note that's sort of poised to send out into the marketplace once we're happy with the revenue that's now being generated in the business. A successful 6 months from now, we'll see a number of things happen. We're actually rolling out our second version of the software this week. We have mobile applications being developed shortly. So within a month, people will be able to use their mobile phone to do everything. In the next 3 months, we'll have a presence on every major social networking platform, which will allow us to virally spread, and also people can understand who their networks are that they're sharing with. On top of that, the intent is to be in a couple of very big organisations running pilot programs and helping them just radically transform how they travel. And indeed, if they don't need to travel, what are the opportunities for web conferencing and things like that. And then the other intent is to have a more global presence. We have a supply chain ready to go in 3 other European countries, and then we have access to 120,000 taxis in North America. So they're all poised to come on board. So we'll just, hopefully in 6 months, we'll be all over the place.